Welcome to Enabling Buying in a World of Selling. This is a podcast with leaders, thought leaders in my world, and what enabling buying in a world of selling means in their world. If you're curious about the idea behind all of this, check out my book, Enabling Buying in a World of Selling, at enablingbuying.com, where you're actually able to listen to some chapters and pre-order the book today. Let's get into it. It is my honor and privilege to introduce someone I have got to know over quite a number of years, and we've worked together. Kimberly always is my client, and we work together at a large hearing manufacturer, and now Kimberly's working at a different manufacturer. I'll let you, Kimberly, kind of fill in the details about your background, but I just wanted to start by saying how honored I am and also why I invited you, because I want to get a perspective that we often don't hear. We hear a lot about people in a coaching role, a leadership role, and I think that's one step removed from where the real action is regarding enabling buying in a world of selling. And so you're someone I'm really excited to hear about because you're a top performer in sales, you're a top performing salesperson. And I'll leave that hanging a little bit so you can, again, just tell us a little bit about you, the company, things that you want people to know.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you, Charles, for everything that you have done, including inviting me to be on the podcast. So, just a phenomenal person. And I really, every time I listen to you, I learn a whole lot more. And I'm just excited that I get to share my experiences also. Because when you asked me about enabling buying in a world of selling, I'm like, there's two facets of that. And I oftentimes just think of I'm a salesperson. And I have no problem saying I'm a salesperson because I'm confident in doing that job. But as an audiologist myself, I started out decades ago in private care. And to me, it was really wonderful doing private care one-on-one with patients who needed my assistance for their hearing needs. But as I grew more and more and I got into the aspect of the manufacturing side, then bringing the corporate vision down to my customers who can then bring it down to their patients, their consumers. That's really where I thrive of how do I get to be that really good middle person pulling it all together. So again, I think in terms of like decades of experience of sales, yes, it is sales. I just feel like I'm a conduit of getting the very best products out to the market, to the patients to change their lives. Because better hearing, better communication, better brain health, better hearing healthcare is really where I live.
And so tell us about who you're with now, what company you're with, and how you um, apply some of what you just said to your everyday practices in working with your buyers.
So Oticon is a Danish hearing healthcare company, and I was previously with them for 12 years. I then went into a different sense of manufacturing sales and then into an AI startup. So a lot of different spins, and now I'm very happily back at Oticon. Being in Denmark, the basis of the company is about the hearing healthcare of people in the world changing lives through better hearing. And it is the number one research facility for understanding not only the actual health of the ear, but the health of the brain. And putting those things together when you have what's called brain hearing, you have to say, what's the psychology of a patient with their hearing loss, their failures, their losses, their grieving, their excitement? Do they want to move forward and have better hearing? Yes, but. So we have to get the very best product out to them that's based on research. And I always say we do what we should do instead of what we can do. Because there's a lot of things you can do with gadgets and widgets, especially AI. And you could say, but it's the best thing. And if it doesn't really do what the patient is needing, then they come back to the hearing healthcare provider and say, I bought this and it's not doing what I want it to do. And there's frustration. So, starting with the really crux of the research of what we should do to make the patient's lives better, and then bringing that into the market. And of course, in the world of selling, my corporate says, here's your targets, here's your KPIs, here's your goals, here's your prospects, here's your go-to. And then I bring that down and formulate how do I bring those needs to my hearing healthcare providers and teach them to choose my product instead of another that looks like the latest, greatest, fuzzy, fluffy thing, or the one that's less expensive that they can get better cost of goods. So there's a whole myriad of different things to massage when I go to a hearing healthcare provider. I have to really listen to what they are living and breathing in their clinic every day. What's their pain point? What's their joy? So I can find my product that can fit their needs to fit their patient's needs.
Well said. And tell us who buys from you? One, it's a two-part question. Who buys from you, and why do they buy from you?
So the offices, the clinics, there's some hospital settings. I primarily work with private practice entities that are audiologist hearing aid dispensers, some ENTs that have those people on staff also. So it's the licensed credentials hearing healthcare providers, and I'm in Southern California primarily. And those people then I go to, most of the time, it's not the director of operations, but it's the person who is fitting the patients with the product. So then the patient, I often say they're consumers now. It used to be like, oh, it's just patients because it's older people coming in for healthcare. Now it's really young people even, and they're like, I just want to have a better life. So those people who are coming in and saying, I think I'm having an issue with my hearing, either they're established hearing aid users or they're new looking into the field of I want to do better with my hearing. Those patients are seeing them. So I have to funnel into my best product for your patients is this, and walking them through the software, the choices, the products, everything like that. So in essence, again, I always feel like I'm a conduit of Denmark to New Jersey to California to patients on the streets.
Kimberly, I really love that imagery. It's like that beautiful through line that's consistent. Um, and we spoke earlier a little bit about, what inspires you. And so I think this is a natural lead into if we think about what's going on in Denmark where the products are manufactured, and then I'm not sure the role New Jersey plays. Is that like a staging place or is that like also a manufacturing place?
It's both. It's
Both.
both.
Okay.
So yeah, the New Jersey is our US headquarters. So we make products there. We ship products from Denmark in. We ship out to the US market. There's repairs. There's thousands of employees in the headquarters in New Jersey who are doing the facilitation, the customer service, the IT tech support, all of it.
And then if we follow that through line, it goes somewhere from New Jersey. There's a bunch of things happening, I imagine, but then it arrives in your territory, Southern California. And then within that territory, you've got your buyers who you've just described. And what then, if we follow that through line, is where, number one, where do you come into it? How much of that through line do you think it's important to kind of quote own? Like, even if it's own in the terms of a context or a paradigm, not literally. And how much of that through line do you bring to your conversations, or do you bring those conversations in? And so a little bit about that might help kind of talk to us about why that's important to you and why you think that's important to your buyer.
First and foremost, I think with any kind of a buyer-seller relationship, whether it's my first time in that office that I'm just meeting them now, because there's some new young hearing care providers that are new to the industry, and I don't know them. I've been in the field for over 30 years, so I know a lot of people. And so with them, I've built credibility and trust and my ethics of follow through of doing what they need and always, just being that person that they can count on and trust. But I don't like to utilize that relationship too much because then it's just, oh, it's so great to see you again. You know, I need to have every meeting more of a discovery of what is really going on with you now, because I know what's been going on with you for the last year, 10 years, but everything changes every day. And so I really think that in terms of me enabling the buyer is listening, that really good ear on their pulse, not always their pain point, because I oftentimes think that if we just live in a world of pain and frustration and obstacles, then I can't allow that buyer to open up and see a vision of better. So I really try to pull that and sparkle in more positive things and imagining these things can be better, and it lifts them up so that they can do their job better. And so I think a lot of what I do is, you know, asking the right questions, but I kind of already know the answers, but I need them to funnel it through in their own language so that they live and breathe it, And then by doing so and following through on what they need and doing my agenda and my emails back, we spoke about this, we did this, this is what's coming next. Then I show that I'm trustworthy and credible.
Love it. And how do you balance the pressure to perform, if there is any, meaning like targets, are you ahead? Are you behind? Staying ahead of your KPIs. Does that factor in at all?
I think it always factors in, maybe on a Sunday afternoon. Um, yes, KPIs, targets, goals, I mean, obviously that's my pay, but it also is um, my relationship with the people back in Denmark and New Jersey who want to see me thrive and excel and help build them up also. So it is a team. I have amazing inside salespeople that I communicate with on a regular basis. Every Monday morning, we get together, and then I have another audiology regional trainer, and I speak with her about certain accounts. So there's always collaborative work. But yes, I know my KPIs, I know my numbers, I know how I'm going to get there, but I don't go in with the panic mode of what if I don't hit it. And honestly, it just doesn't happen. Things come because you have it in your head, but it's not the number one thing that comes into my meeting every day. My meeting instead is how can I help that hearing care provider do a better job for their patient? And when the patient's happy, the provider's happy, and they're going to buy more from me because they want to repeat that experience. So if I can just keep building those experiences, they build, 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 and I hit my KPIs.
So do you know, I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. And if you don't know, it's okay because this isn't meant to put you on the spot, but Oticon, the company you work for, do you know their mission, vision, values, and what are your mission, vision, values relative to that?
Yeah, it's a huge company. Demont, who owns Oticon, also owns a lot of other arms in the healthcare industry. And the vision and mission of Oticon is to create value and trust, empower attitude, power, and empowerment for changing lives. We do that through the very best technology that's available. We do that by the research that builds the technology. So living and growing into those values are really a pretty easy thing for me to do because that's really where I come from. My seed was planted in getting my audiology degree and going into private practice and helping patients and creating trust with them and giving them best technology to improve their life. So again, I always use this kind of this funnel. I feel like I'm just getting strength from Eric's home, the research, everything that goes behind those products, down to the mission, to my mission myself is to change people's lives with better hearing. And then pulling that into how I can create their better life with better hearing, they also create better brain health, better social, they're not isolated. They have better connectivity and better joy. So it again, it's just it lives and breathes within me that I just want to help people hear better, communicate better, and live better lives. And I can do that with the products that are being presented, the very best products from Oticon.
I just got an experience of why you're the top performer. So I
The
can
funny thing, I was flying back from Canada the other night, and a gentleman was in the middle seat next to me, and he was grunting a little bit because he was very tall, and I felt a little guilty about it. And I said, "I'm so sorry, you're in the middle and you have long legs." He goes, "It's okay." He said, "I'm going to be on a business flight when I go off to New Zealand." Oh, okay. So we started talking, and I said, I work for hearing healthcare, and he goes, "Oh, my mother just got a hearing aid. They're very expensive." And I said, "Yes, they are, but they're changing her life." He said, "Yeah." So we started talking about it. He goes, "Wow, I can see why you're a good salesperson." And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to watch a movie now."
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I know you well enough to kind of shy away from having too much of the spotlight. And I know that doesn't motivate you, being in the spotlight. So I'd like to sort of do a little bit of a graceful wind down by asking you in your career path, what have been some of the things that have stood out to you for you about your own growth? Like, were there places of inspiration? Were there books, or were there people, or were there events? Anything you want to share about what you think has been kind of a little bit that's continued to help you grow?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Thinking back, I often think, where am I right now? 30 plus years in my industry, and yet I still feel young and youthful and learning. And I think the very most important thing is always just being a sponge to learn from others. And I really get a lot out of when I go to seminars, when I listen to podcasts, when I listen to the Eric's Home research. They're talking about a lot of things that, wow, okay, that's an interesting concept that I hadn't thought about with audiology. So pulling me into that research level, I really love. I read white papers, really love white papers from all different avenues. Um, and honestly, because my son is now in college, I try to teach him good things. And TED Talks are just such little wonderful snippets. And I always say to him, you must watch the Simon Sinek. Why? And I've told him that when he was in high school. Watch it again, watch it again, watch it again. So a lot of times when I kind of fumble a little bit, I will watch that again and just get that sparkle back to know your why. And that motivates me. And then listening to good music, really, just kind of like letting it go and just being in your own mood for a little while and then coming back again. So,
Yeah. Well, I've been listening intently to what you've been saying, and it just keeps reinforcing my impression of you as someone who is caring, um, really enjoys your craft. And that I think is something that really, stands out. You really not only just enjoy it, but like you live it. And you're very thorough in your preparation. And I can imagine when you say you like reading white papers, you probably don't skim, or maybe you do, but most of us will just try to skim and like, what is this saying? But I've often found, and I'm sure, at least this is what I'm picking up, I'm learning from you in this conversation, that if I take the time to really read what the writer wants me to know, then I'm likely to get a lot more out of it. So, That was just wonderful being with you for this time. And I really, really appreciate you. I know you're really busy, but I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate you. I appreciate what you said, your time, and I really thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I think it's an amazing world that we live in. And even with the developments of technology in my own space, but also now gauging in with AI. And wow, that's a world. And getting AI into hearing aids, which was what we're doing, using AI to guide ourselves with our own daily needs and trying to be more efficient and not afraid of AI. It's really empowering. And I'm just really, again, honored that you allowed me to be here with you today. I continue to learn from you. And yeah, it's really lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Enabling Buying in a World of Selling. Real talk with people who are really interested in this concept. Again, as a reminder, please go to enablingbuying.com where you can listen to some sample chapters from my book. And if you're interested, you can pre-order a copy for yourself. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And in the meantime, please enable good things.